CRM providers in that we provide a much broader range of services, and we're a lot more focused on results. So we're not just a technology company. We're in business to help you grow your business. We believe, in fact, that when your business grows, the whole world is a better place, that your employees' lives are improved, your customers' lives are improved, all of their families are better off, and the communities that they live in are better off as a result of the growth of your business. And that's why we're really passionate about making sure that your business grows. And we're all in to make sure that you get what you need from our technology and our team to help you get there. So, we're all sales leaders. We all have some common goals. The specifics may differ, but in general, we're all struggling for sales accountability. We all know it's very difficult to manage salespeople. It's very difficult to keep your eye on the ball in terms of who's on track to hit their quota, who's not. Do we have an accurate forecast? Who's hitting their prospecting goals? Who's filling the top of the funnel while they're closing deals? Who's on top of their follow-ups? Are they staying in touch with the leads that are coming in and things like that? We know that we're all busy, and so is our team. And so we struggle to stay in touch with our existing clients. We're all staying so focused on hitting our numbers and bringing in those new clients that we don't pay as much attention as we probably should to the ones that we brought in a few months ago. And we're leaving money on the table as a result. And we know that we've got information silos, and that's a real hindrance to doing business, right? Financial information in the accounting system, customer product information in our operational back-end system, and so on. And those things don't talk to each other, or at least not very easily. And we all know that we need to generate leads. Salespeople are always asking for more leads, and the leads that they have aren't good enough, right? These are all constants. They're all givens. We know that these are challenges that in many ways we all just sort of get used to and kind of live with, right? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. How can you address these beasts and really turn them into assets for you and your company? So restating these goals, sales accountability, when you have it, what it's going to do for you is you're going to be able to help newly hired salespeople succeed. You're going to be able to show them the pathway and monitor their progress so that if they start to get off track a little bit, you'll know it early and be able to take corrective action instead of, 2 quarters go by and they're not hitting their numbers and they got to go. You'll be able to coach effectively, kind of in the same way. Not just new hires, but all of your team. Not selling enough of a particular product. Well, we can see that, and now we can sit down and talk to them and get them some training, that kind of thing. We can see what's working and do more of it. In terms of clients, we can increase the revenue per client by simple things that keep you in front of those clients in a at least semi-automated way. We can increase the close rate. How many leads have you guys touched over the last several months that didn't buy anything and are now just basically sitting somewhere on some list and nobody's doing anything with them? Well, maybe we can reinvigorate those leads. In terms of information, we all know about the 80-20 rule. It affects all of our business. It's a reality in all of our businesses. If your salespeople had easy access to financial information, could they more easily identify the 20% of customers that are generating 80% of their quota and have a focus on making sure they maximize revenue with those clients? Could they convert quotes to orders more effectively and accurately, eliminating back and forth and problems and unhappy clients? So we've all got pieces of this in place, right? The sales accountability and what programs to stay in touch with our clients and so on. But on any given day, how often do you look out your office onto your sales floor and see this and wonder, what are those guys up to today? Sure is quiet around here, right? Sometimes days, even weeks will go by when you're really not exactly sure what's going on, right? That's a recipe for disaster. So we're going to talk about how we address that. So this is just a screenshot of my dashboard that I use to manage our sales team. No rocket science there, pretty simple stuff, but the point is you need to be looking at data like this all day, every day, right? How many calls are getting logged by sales reps? How many new qualified opportunities are they putting into the pipeline? Who's reaching out and touching the most customers? At a minimum, this kind of data allows you to walk down the hall and pat guys on the back and say, way to go. Good job. Love the way you're making all those calls. Love the way you put 2 new opportunities in the pipeline today. Whatever's important to you and your business, now you have the information to reward people for doing the things that matter. We all know that if you have a report like this that your assistant or your sales coordinator puts together for you by collecting a few spreadsheets from various sources or all the different reps and spending half a day collating information and merging things together, and ultimately on Monday morning you get a nice little dashboard, right? It's not the same thing, is it? Because by the time you've got your hands on it, it's already mostly out of date. And it's just not immediate enough to let you, as I said before, walk down the hall and pat people on the back. Sorry, guys. My iPad all of a sudden started ringing. So let me turn that off. Okay, there we go. Here's what happens to your operations and accounting and customer service people, right? The sales guys turn in their orders. They write them up however they write them up. And they don't have any information about what the inventory level is, how backed up is the production floor, how long is it going to take to schedule the first visit by the installation team, whatever. You know, those things where the rubber meets the road in your business and people have to show up and do things. You don't have an infinite supply. And so if salespeople don't know the status or the utilization rate, if you want to put it that way, of those resources, then they're just turning in orders and making promises to customers because that's what they do. And that's how they get the order, right? They're saying, yeah, sure, I'll have them out here Monday morning for you, Mr. Customer. Just sign on the dotted line. And now Susie back in the customer service or dispatch or installation office is getting calls from customers. She's back and forthing between the customer and the sales rep and trying to figure out who's going where. And it's driving her nuts, but more importantly, it's driving customers nuts because they're not getting what they promised. People aren't showing up when they expected, and things are taking longer than they expected. And that's not good. So that problem can be solved, and it's not that hard to do. Here's just a really basic example, just to give you an idea. This is a screenshot of an integration, basically a customization of our system that we did for a client that uses Sage. It's Sage accounting, or Sage 50 accounting, I think they call it. It's the old Peachtree that some of you may be familiar with. So basically, in my CRM, I can go to an account and I can see the entire sales history with that account coming right out of Peachtree or Sage 50, right? So now as a salesperson, that's pretty powerful information. I can see the history of purchases with this customer, right? I can open these things up and look at the details. So when I visit with a customer and they have questions for me, I can actually pull up that data in real time on my iPad, on my notebook, whatever. And when I submit an order, I'm not just blindly submitting an order for parts and things that I don't have any information about the availability of. That information is coming from Sage 50. So when I create the order, the inventory I'm selecting from is the actual inventory. This kind of integration is simple, but it's a huge game changer in your business in the level of service that you can provide to your customers, the way you can upsell to a customer. You know, how often is it, especially in a sort of detail-oriented business, does the sales guy really remember what he sold this customer back in, you know, October of last year? Heck no. He doesn't remember the details, but those details may be the key to identifying an opportunity to upsell them on an additional product and upgrade, some maintenance contracts or whatever it is. The 80-20 rule that we talked about before. Can the salesperson see a list of his customers based on the product that they have purchased from you? This is just a simple example from my dashboard of just, you know, subscription levels of customers. And then I can click through and see the list of all of my customers that are at a certain subscription level. So if I want to send out an email saying, hey, if you're on this subscription level, we have a new upgrade coming for you or whatever, it's one click away, right? In your business, think about that. How long would it take for you to pull that information together? And how many opportunities don't you take advantage of because it takes too long and it's too much effort? Okay, so let's talk about generating leads and filling the funnel with good, solid opportunities. Whoops, go back one. This is how a typical salesperson's time is spent. They're spending about a third of their time prospecting, about a third of their time managing existing relationships, and the other third is broken up, you know, between administrative, internal meetings, whatever, and just helping with customer service, taking care of customers that have needs. And we know that what happens is, you know, there's sort of this back and forth cycle between prospecting and managing customers or closing deals. When I'm busy closing a bunch of deals, I'm not doing a bunch of prospecting, and that means that in a month I'm going to have a really thin pipeline and I'm probably not going to hit my number, right? We all know that keeping salespeople focused on prospecting is crucial. But how hard is that, right? It is not easy. And if you don't have the data, then it's really not easy. All you can do is rely on what they tell you. Oh yeah, sure, boss. I had 5 great meetings. That's not enough information. So if this is a typical buying process, not the sales process, but the buying process, customer becomes aware of a problem, not of your product or service or even your company necessarily, but just the fact that they have a need for something. Something's not right in their world. Something could be better. Then what they do is they then begin to educate themselves. And this is a huge change that if you've been in business for a while or you've been in sales for a while, you need to know it's not the way it used to be, right? Because back in the day, when I had a problem and I became aware of it, then I had to pick up the phone and call a salesperson and start talking to them to get any information about what to do about my problem, right? That's not the way it is anymore. I can spend 15 minutes in the comfort of my home or at my desk Googling away and I've got a plethora of information to answer my question and find out what the possible solutions to my problem are. I don't need salespeople for that. That's not a salesperson's job anymore. After I've educated myself, then I might choose to get engaged with your company. I'm going to be very likely to get engaged with the company that has educated me the most, right? And then eventually I start making decisions between the few that I became engaged with, right? So I become aware of a problem, and I first internalize that problem. I think about it a lot. I start doing research online. I'm not talking to salespeople. That's the key message here. That's why what you have to have in place, especially if you have any kind of sort of inbound lead generation going on now. You're doing ads online and you have people filling out forms on your website. You've got to be able to respond to those guys quickly, and you got to make sure you're giving them the right message and not trying to close them with the first email that they get or the first call. Now, the same thing's true of more traditional leads. Like, let's say you go to a trade show and you come back with all the business cards and a list of attendees and so on, right? If your expectation is that your salespeople are going to pick up the phone and start closing deals, you're just going to scare them off. You have to develop a way to make sure that you know where each customer is in the buying process and put the right message in their hands and their hands only, and make it as personal as possible. So this is a more complex diagram. Here's the process, the buying process here up at the top. And then here are different kinds of educational pieces that any business can create and then send out to customers who are at that stage. So if I'm at the awareness stage, then all I want to send you is things that help you decide, do I really have this problem or need or opportunity? Is this a problem for you? Or maybe case studies. You know, here's somebody like you that had a similar problem and here's how they fixed it. It's purely educational. If you're going to send them cost information and how investing in a solution is going to pay off, and they haven't really made up their mind to do anything about it, you're just missing the mark. You're alienating them. Now, where the key comes in is that if you can create campaigns like this that are going out, putting the right message in the right time, then your salespeople can be alerted when someone engages with those content pieces, right? So if you get my vendor comparison, you know, here's how we stack up against the most well-known alternatives. If you get that and you click the link to watch the video or download the report or whatever it is, then I want to talk to you, right? I want my salesperson to pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, Bob, I noticed you were taking a look at that vendor comparison. Which ones are you leaning towards at this point, right? All of a sudden, your salespeople are having very warm calls that are very targeted on where the customer is in their overall buying process. So the customer is becoming your salesperson is becoming the customer's guide through their buying process. That's making them valuable to the customer. That's setting you and your company apart from all your competitors. So each salesperson or all your sales team knows exactly what to say depending on where the customer is in the overall buying process. So by doing this, what you're going to do is you're going to maximize the amount of time that your sales team is spending with qualified leads. These are people that are basically raising their hand and saying, hey, I want to talk to somebody about this. and they're telling you what they want to talk about. So you don't have to call. It's not a cold call anymore. You know what to speak with them about. You know what's on their mind. So they're not cold calling all day just hoping to talk to somebody that will take 5 minutes on the phone with them. They're calling people that they know want more information. That's going to also maximize your ROI on your marketing spending. So you're spending money on trade shows, you're spending money on online ads, or anything in between. We all know what happens, right? We call a few times, and most of them we never end up getting the opportunity to talk to. And we give up. Well, if you're continuously sending them messages that are helpful and educational, then eventually you're going to get the call. Of course, you can do the same thing with existing customers, right? If customers start their relationship with you by buying this, but then you have 3 or 4 other add-on services or products that they can take advantage of, but they don't always initially, well, there's an email campaign, right? So you're increasing revenue per customer, you're cross-selling, upselling. So what we've seen is that on average, your results could be a lot better than this, but on average, you're going to see a 10% increase in sales per sales rep in 6 months by doing just really what we're talking about here is 2 basic email campaigns. It's not a lot. You're not going to need a marketing firm. You're not going to need 6 months to get it ready. Pretty straightforward, and it's definitely going to have an impact. And we can show you the numbers. Your numbers will vary depending upon how many leads you have coming in and so on. But one way or the other, if you really add that up and apply typical response rates to that, you'll see that the return is significant. So this is really how Sales Nexus is different than other alternatives that you may be using or may have looked at in the past. As you probably know, most of the alternatives are a CRM platform that then has a bunch of add-ons that you can plug into the CRM. So you might get the CRM and, okay, now I'm getting my salespeople, I'm tracking them, I'm got a way to at least share information about customers. And then you decide, all right, we're ready for some marketing automation. We want to do some of these email campaigns and things. So now you add on the marketing automation plugin or whatever. And then you decide, well, we need a more unified report that shows us what's happening across the marketing automation and the CRM. So we're going to need a special business analytics reporting tool, and so on and so on. There could be 10 different bubbles on this diagram here. But what eventually happens is you've got at least one, and probably more than one, consultant running around charging you by the hour to hook all this stuff up and make it work for you. So you end up with this very complex solution. There's a lot of risk because if any one piece fails, then the whole process breaks, and it gets pretty expensive. Not just initially, but ongoing, because ultimately you're going to spend more money on consultants than you do on technology. So with Sales Nexus, we've combined all this into one offering. You know what it's going to cost you. You know what you're going to get. We're partnering with you to set it up, make it work for you, and get you where you're going. Oh, and by the way, sort of the magic ingredient in our offering is that every one of our customers gets 500 new leads per month, and that's per user. In other words, if you have 10 salespeople, then you're getting 5,000 new leads per month from leadferret.com. That's our partner, and this is just a screenshot of their search interface. You can search by their role, their title, SIC code, industry, how much revenue, how many employees, location, lots of other criteria, and identify leads that you want to put on your list and start reaching out to with these campaigns. Here's an example of the kind of reports that you want to have in your business, right? How are we doing? What are we selling? Who's doing all the selling? To put that report together in your business today, what does it take? Does it take a half a day for somebody on your accounting staff, and then somebody on your sales staff, your sales coordinator, somebody like that, to take the accounting information and then sort it and break it up and figure out which rep to give credit for which sale and so on and so forth? If it takes all that time, you're not going to do it, and which means you're not going to use it. But if you could instantaneously see this kind of a table, what would that let you do? Same thing here. Here's just a graphical representation of the same thing. Now, this is customized for a specific client. This is not one size fits all. You see here departments. This is a company in the insurance business, and they want to see views of their commercial lines versus their benefits and so on and so forth. So is this really possible? You know, if you're like me, when I was in the energy business years ago as a VP of sales, man, I was trying to do this, and I tried it over and over and over again, and I never felt like I got all the way there. I would get part of the way there. I get pieces and parts, and then I'd kind of get at a plateau. I'd get sort of stuck. It was a very long, very difficult road to hoe, right? We understand that. And that's what Sales Nexus is all about, is making this an easy road for you, letting you stay focused on doing business while we stay focused on making sure you're getting what you need out of the technology. So again, if you've tried this before, then you know the number one challenge is getting your salespeople to use the thing in the first place, right? So how do we do that? Who's got the magic silver bullet, right? Well, it's really not that difficult. What most companies fail at is sort of completing the circle. You know, if the Holy Grail is a system that allows salespeople to have access to financial information about their customers, product information, sales histories, things like that, that automatically markets to cold leads, old customers, new leads, things like that, like we've talked about, and gives you as a sales leader the metrics you need to manage the sales team. If that's the Holy Grail, if that's all we need, then it's doable. Unfortunately, what happens is you fail at it, not because you don't know what you're doing, not because you can't do it, but because it's not your priority. And it's not your background, right? So that's why most companies end up with all these consultants running around, and that can be very complex as well. Now you've got 3-4 consultants you got to manage in it on top of your salespeople. You didn't take the role that you have now to be an IT project manager, and that's what this is, right? That's why Sales Nexus has bundled the implementation service and premium support into our subscription. So we're going to make sure that you can manage through the metrics, that you can let your salespeople compete based on the metrics, not just on who sold the most last month, which is important, of course, but it's not the only thing that they should be competing on, right? They should be competing on who generated the most leads last month, who put the most big deals in their pipeline, who's selling the most of this one particular brand new product that we're trying to introduce into the marketplace. Those little details that matter in your world, you need to be able to measure them and help your salespeople understand them, watch them and measure them themselves, and compete with each other based on those things. Salespeople need to have sales history. Kind of seems obvious, but it's not easy. Order entry. That's where there's a tremendous amount of friction in almost every organization, and it needs to get automated. Leads, leads, leads. Salespeople want leads. They're always complaining either they don't have enough or the ones they have aren't any good, right? So if you can give them a way to take a really big list of leads, all the potential customers in your whole market, and nurture them all and only focus their time on the ones that, as we talked about before, raising their hands, well, then that's something they're going to appreciate. And of course, it has to be easy for the sales team. So with Sales Nexus, as I've said, we're going to help you get there. We're going to help you do this. We're going to first consult with you and help you decide what needs to get measured, what needs to get automated. We're then going to build the system for you, customize it from the ground up to your specifications. What fields do you need? What are the specific dashboards that need to be based on very unique metrics that only you would care about? What are the reports you're going to need? What kind of campaigns do you need to nurture new leads, nurture customers, etc.? And what about integrating information with your accounting system and your operations system and other marketing tools and things that you're using? We're going to walk you through all this. We're going to document the requirements. We're going to set it all up for you. And then we're going to train your team. We're going to train your team not by saying, hey guys, here's this wonderful software, let us show you how to use it. We're going to train your team by saying, in this implementation process, we've learned that when you get a new lead in your company, this is what happens with it. Well, here's how you do that now using the technology. So we're training them to do their job the way you want it done. And oh, by the way, we provide you with video assets so you can train people you hire next month and next year without sitting there for 4 hours showing them how to use the software. And we're going to provide you with written assets as well, user guides customized around your processes and your business. So we're just doing a new release that I'm going to jump into in just a minute and show you very briefly. This is just a screenshot. I want to touch on cost real quick because, again, if you've done this before, it becomes sort of like this death by 1,000 cuts, right? You start off with a CRM software you're buying or a subscription you're signing up to, whatever, and that seems reasonable. But then you find out, oh yeah, I'm going to need a marketing automation system as well. It's almost just as expensive. I'm going to have to buy data to put into the system so that I can market to people. And then I got to start paying consultants to set it all up and babysit it for me. And it gets really expensive really fast. So what started off as like an $8,000 deal, now an average implementation, turnkey, when it's all said and done, for 10 salespeople, is somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000. With Sales Nexus, for 10 people to do all of this, integrating with your accounting system, setting up multiple email campaigns specific to your business and your customers and your needs, setting up the CRM the way you need it, automating processes, and supporting your team ongoing is $19,000. So how do we do that? Why can we do it for so much less? Well, number one, as you saw on the previous slide, the consulting fees are a big part of it, right? Now, you may say, hey, I'm in the IT business. I don't need a bunch of consultants. I got people that can do that. Well, those people's time costs money too. So When I say consulting fees, I'm really referring to someone's time, either someone you're writing payroll checks to or someone you're paying invoices to, right? Either way, we do that internally, so it's not really a profit center so much for us, right? It's a means to an end. It's how we know that you're going to be a customer for a long time. We don't really make a bunch of money in the first year or so of your subscription because we're investing a lot of manpower in helping you get it all set up. We make our money because you're going to stay with us for 4, 5, 10 years. We've been doing this now for 14 years, and we have customers that have been with us from day one. We have customers that have been with us for 10 years. Our average customer lifetime is 4 years. The average in the industry, the average customer lifetime for Salesforce.com and Microsoft and the big guys that dominate the industry is 2 years. So think of that. You go through all of this, right, to select a CRM, to decide what your requirements are, to set it all up, and bring in consultants and everything else. And in spite of all of that, 2 years later, you're doing it all again. That's why we do what we do, because we've all been there and done that. We've been in that situation. We want to make sure that you get where you want to go with Sales Nexus. So let me jump into the system real quick. So this is our new release. It's just being released literally this week. And it's a complete redesign of the system, designed to be a lot more friendly on tablets and mobile devices. But there's some other really cool features that I'll point out real quickly. Like, you can see here the profile picture. So I chose Bob here. He's actually a customer, been with us for a long time. And he's just he's a fun guy, always doing crazy, silly stuff. And what happened was when you put in a new contact into Sales Nexus, our system reaches out to a third-party system that monitors social accounts and things like that. And it will grab your profile photo, or I'm sorry, your customer's profile photo from their social profiles and put it in your Sales Nexus record automatically and populate links to their LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook accounts and so on. So that just happens automatically, and it happens in real time. If you just got back from an event and you're putting in a business card, boom, their picture's going to show up. A couple other things I'll show you real quick. You're going to customize the fields, right? We're going to be there. We're going to consult with you and help you decide what fields you need. In my business, I need to know how many employees you have or how many users you're going to be having in the system, what you're currently using, as your CRM. And those fields are front and center for me rather than, me having to click through 2 or 3 different screens to get to that custom information. With Sales Nexus, what matters to you the most goes out front, and you can get rid of everything that doesn't matter to you. So just a quick example that I'll give you of what the power of the system is. So I'm going to go here to my dashboard, and there again you'll see the calls that are being made by the salespeople, sales pipeline graphs, and things like that. If I go down here, I can find a list of new leads. So these are leads that have come in here this month, right? So if I want to take this list, these are actually people that have signed up to a free trial of our system since the beginning of the month. So I want to take that list and put them on a campaign, right? I just go here and say add to campaign. and I choose the campaign that I want, right? So I'm going to find my lead nurture campaign. So here we go. You can see every 7 days, these people are going to get an email from us. So down here, you see it says look up 36. So that's the 36 people that I had looked up that had started a free trial. So I want to put them all on this campaign right now. I just say add to campaign, and boom, those emails are going out. I could literally log off and go on vacation, and they're all going out. So that's awesome. That's pretty cool. But what's even better is that right here you see click notification and email notification. So if you get one of these emails from us and you click on the link to watch the video or download the report or whatever, Chandler is going to get a real-time alert saying, hey, Sally just clicked on this particular link and watched this particular video. So he's going to call you in a matter of minutes and say, hey, Sally, I noticed you were watching the video on lead nurturing. What'd you think about that? How are you guys currently nurturing leads? Et cetera, et cetera. He's jumping right into a very warm call with you. And in our case, actually, this campaign, the way it really works is when you click on this particular campaign, that automatically puts you on a different campaign. So we're kind of nurturing you through multiple layers. So that first campaign is really high-level educational messages, and then the second layer is a little more salesy, right? It's more, sign up, start your free trial, or attend our webinar, or things like that, right? And then the salespeople will start getting alerts. So we've added some nuance to it. That all happens automatically. You can do the same exact thing, and as we've talked about, we're going to help you set it all up. We're going to brainstorm with you in terms of the strategy, the messaging. We're going to write the emails. We're going to design them. You're going to be part of that process. We're going to send you what we come up with, and you're going to tell us, I like this, I don't like that, and we'll revise it. You're busy hitting your number, working with customers, making sales. We're helping you set it all up. Let me show you one other thing here. I'm going to go to somebody else's task list here. And you can see here, I want to try and show you where Justin has gotten some of these notifications. While he's been making calls today. Well, I'm not seeing any. That's what I get for doing this sort of real time in the real world. But basically, this is, these are salespeople. This is their task list. What you're seeing here is, some of these tasks have a line through them. So these are the calls they've already made today. And what will happen is when you get an email and you click on that link, you're going to show up in this list all of a sudden, and the sales guy gives you a call. If you have outside salespeople, they can also get an email on their smartphone saying, hey, Sally just clicked the link. Okay, so we're getting close to the top of the hour here. I want to leave time for your questions. So, as a reminder, if you have questions, you can type them in there in the GoToWebinar control panel where it says questions, and I'll respond to those as they come in. Let's see. There's a couple of questions coming in right now. So yeah, there's a couple of questions about migrating from other systems and things like that. That's a really good question, something I didn't really touch on earlier. that can be a real gotcha. If you try to move from one CRM to another, the new CRM company, unfortunately, is going to make it seem a lot easier than it really is. They're going to tell you, oh yeah, sure, we'll transfer over your contacts or your, whatever. What they don't tell you is that contacts are one thing, or companies or accounts are one thing, but getting all the notes and the sales opportunities and all the scheduled follow-up calls and things like that, that's a whole other thing. And with most CRMs, you just can't do that yourself. You're going to need a consultant to do that for you. So with Sales Nexus, we have built technology over the last, well, really since our inception 14 years ago. That's always been one of our differentiators. So if you have an ACT database, you make a backup of it, you send it over to us, we migrate everything into the right places, including your custom fields and all the drop downs and all the notes and everything. Same thing with Salesforce and really just about any other CRM. Let's see. Okay, here's another good question. How many emails can you send? So Sales Nexus is very liberal in that regard. You can send 25,000 emails per person per month. So if you have 10 people using Sales Nexus, you're sending 250,000 emails a month at no additional charge. That's included in your subscription. That's another real big gotcha with a lot of marketing automation systems. You just don't realize when you start nurturing all your leads that are coming in and you're sending more than one email to each lead per month, then it starts adding up pretty fast. And so you get into these systems thinking you're getting more than you're ever going to need, and all of a sudden you're hitting some kind of limit and you've got to upgrade or change to a different version or whatever. Let's see. Okay, yeah, good question. The most important question, really. Bob here is asking about the implementation process and how much is included in that. So, as I said before, our mission is to help you grow your business. That's the most important thing to us, because we know if we do that, you'll be a customer for a long time. And so we're going to invest the time that's required to help you get where you're going. We're going to help you do things that no other CRM company would even think about doing. The little details like, it's time to start gathering up data to put in the CRM, right? So may seem simple, but when you really start thinking about it, all of a sudden you realize, well, every one of my sales guys has got some contacts in Outlook, and they got some contacts on their iPhone, and then we got our accounting system. It's got lots of important information about customers, and then we've got the marketing team has got some other lists, and you've got, who knows, could be 10, 20 different sources of information, all with overlap and duplication and things like that. Well, with any other vendor, that's your problem. With Sales Nexus, you send it over to us, we merge it all together, dedupe it, clean it up, make sure that you're getting as complete a record for each company and contact as possible, and load it up for you. So that's just an example, when it comes to creating email campaigns and things like that. There's a package that we offer that's designed for a small business to get just started with a very basic email campaign. But as a part of that service, we've developed a really nice process for creating effective emails and really figured out sort of what works and what doesn't. And so we're going to use that process to create our sort of recommended campaign for you. And then we're going to show it to you, and you're going to say, I like it, I like this, but I don't like that. And we're going to work with you and make sure that we get it to where you feel like it's going to be effective. And then also, just as important and probably more important, a month later, we're going to sit down with you and look at the results. How many opens did we get? How many clicks did we get? What does that tell us about the subject line and what's in the email? And, you know, it's usually not all the emails aren't working or all the emails are working. It's a mixed bag, right? It's an experiment and it's an ongoing thing. You just have to keep looking at the analytics and making adjustments, and we're going to help you do that. Not just in the beginning, but ongoing. Okay, well, we're getting close to the top of the hour here. I wanted to be sure and mention I've had my contact information up here on the screen for a few minutes. This is my direct line, my email address. If you've got questions, if you have, if you're currently trying to do all this with the CRM that you have and you're struggling to get your salespeople to use it, or you're trying to send out some lead nurturing campaigns and you're not seeing the results that you need, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'm not going to try and switch you to our system or whatever. If I can help you get where you're going with the system that you have now, great. That's awesome. Send me your emails. Let me look at them. I'll give you my 2 cents and tell you what I think you could do to improve them. I'd be happy to help. Reach out to me directly, as you see here. And I just want to say I really appreciate everybody's time. I know you're all busy. I know you've got some huge mountains to climb, and I really am grateful that you've taken out the time to spend with me here today. And if there's any way that I or Sales Nexus can help you get where you're going, then just let us know. Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a great afternoon.